So just like many of you, when I saw this particular headline, I was like, NMC. NMC is doing too much. Like, I mean, how? I saw this. Senior nurse struck off for falsely using free parking permit. I was like, just because of parking, the person has been struck off the NMC register. I mean, could they not have suspended the person or something? Struck off the register because of parking. So I decided to do a bit more research, okay, and find out exactly the details to this, okay. And guys, that's what I have for you today. There's actually more to the story. So the actual document is about 45 or 46 pages that I actually got from the NMC hearing, their website. When you check on the latest hearings, okay, there's an actual file containing everything I need to know about this particular case. I don't want to mention the name of this lady, but she was a nurse in the UK NHS, a band 6 nurse, and she's currently struck off, because of this. But the details is what I'll be sharing in this video. However, if you want to read the document for yourself, like I said, it's over 45 pages, but I'll leave it in the description below so you can actually read it for yourself. Now, let's get into the video. Hi guys, welcome once again to another episode of Struck Off, a series on this channel where we discuss things that health professionals did that nearly put them in trouble, or things that health professionals did that put them in trouble, and then we'll pick a few lessons from their stories. Okay, so parking. First of all, let me say that I don't even understand why nurses have to pay for parking. I do not agree. Maybe it's because I'm coming from Ghana where there's nothing like that. If you're a staff, even back in KNUST medical school, even if you're a medical student, even accessing the teaching hospital, they give you a sticker on your card that you can use to enter free. Now, when I came to the UK, I was working for a nursing home, which is a private company. Parking was free. So free to the extent that anytime I was traveling to Ghana or I was traveling to London for a couple of weeks, or I was going on holiday, I would leave the house, go park my car at my workplace car park. When I was going to get married in Ghana, I was gone for over a month. My car was parked at my job's car park for a month because it was safe neighborhood and it's secured. Now, I only realized that things were different when I moved to NHS and I was told that I have to pay £6.50 every day that I go to work for parking. I could not believe my ears. So let me say this, there was a time. A colleague showed me a place where I could park and not pay. I parked there and I was fined, is it £45? I did a video about it and I had to pay the fine and I was like, nah, it's not worth it. Let me just pay the £6.50. Recently, they deducted me £20.50 for 1 day's parking because I mistakenly used an old card. Meanwhile, I had paid for that day because I thought I had lost the card. So this thing has just been frustrating me, this whole parking thing. Whenever in my new job, people ask me if I like my job, I'll be like, yeah, but my old job parking was free. I so hate the fact that we have to pay for parking. I so hate it. The fact that I have to pay £6.50 every day for parking, it makes me really, really envy those that work from home and they're just in their pajamas with a laptop in front of them and they're making even double, triple what I make. At the end of the month, you are giving me $1,700 and yet you're taking £6.50 every day. Can you imagine? It's not worth it. See, that's why we should all consider going into IT, where in most cases you'll be working from the comfort of your home and you'll be paying big money. And you don't have to deal with human beings like plenty where there'll be issues and all of that. Guys, if you're watching me as a nurse and let's say you want to go into IT or you want to go into tech or you want to go into, something else from nursing or AI or whatever, I recommend using 10Analytics. I'm going to leave my 10Analytics Whatsapp community group pinned in the comment section so you can have access to it and join. 10Analytics is, I think, the biggest platform for people that want to go into tech. So what they do is that they're actually going to sit down with you and then analyze your experiences in terms of your job experiences and what you did in school and the knowledge you have and all of that. And then they'll help you determine what kind of tech field best suits you. Because remember, we have different aspects of tech. We have cybersecurity, we have human resource analysts, data scientists, thousands of them. But they're going to help you determine which one best fits you based on your experiences and your background. And after that, they're going to actually take you through the program. You don't need to have prior IT knowledge or IT experience. They're going to actually show you. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're in the UK or in Canada, they would find time for you and then they will teach you, okay? After that, they would also let you do an internship with their mother company or their sister company. So by the time you're done with the program, you also have work experience. They'll help you build your portfolio. They'll help you with LinkedIn optimization. They'll help you get access to job sites or job offers that the ordinary person does not see, because they get them from paid websites. Okay, and some of these websites are actually giving visa sponsorship. I interviewed a lady Ngozi who's currently in Ireland, but she's working for a very massive US company and she's making big money. Okay, from the comfort of her home, enjoying time with her kids and her family and all of that, and she's not paying package, she's just home. So if you want to go into tech, just contact Analytics. When you finally get a job offer, they'll help you, they'll coach you with your interview, they'll help you with your CV, they'll guide you throughout the way. And even after you've gotten the job, if you're struggling with work assignments and all of that, they'll help you as well. It's the best for those that want to consider tech. And tech is the new thing, Abby. Anyway, thank you to Analytics for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the story. So when I heard this, I'm like, what really happened? Just because she packed and did not pay, she struck off? Hey. Now, what really happened? Okay, so apparently this senior nurse, band 6 nurse, right? In her trust where she works, they have parking access for family members and relatives of people who are on end of life. Okay, so they give you this free parking permit for people who are visiting relatives and friends who are at end of life. So let's say your family member probably is at end of life, maybe due to cancer or whatever, and they're in the last few weeks of their life. They don't want you to be coming when you're already sad to be paying for parking. So they give you a permit that allows you to park at the car park for free. Now, what does this nurse do? She fraudulently accessed one of these free parking permits, which she was using to park at this car park for free for a period of time. So let me actually read the exact thing from the document on the NMC website. Okay, it says the trust may issue a concessionary parking permit to relatives of an end-of-life patient so that relatives do not have to worry about paying for parking when visiting. Between 13th December 2021 and February 11, 2022, Mrs. Horton obtained a trust concessionary parking permit without authorization or without permission. So it's a little over a year she was using this parking permit that she obtained fraudulently. Now, they are saying that between the same time period, this nurse used the concessionary parking permit she had obtained to avoid paying for parking whenever she came to work. Mrs. Horton was aware that the parking charges being avoided were ordinarily due to the trust. Now, one fateful day, this nurse's number plate was captured by the cameras at the parking while she used the parking permit, which she was not authorized to use. She was then issued a fine. So, just like me, when I had to park somewhere and I was fined, I think what this nurse should have done was just pay the fine and let it be. I think that would have been the end of the whole case. But what did she do? I think that's where she worsened her case. And that is a lesson that we should all learn. What did she do? So on the 15th of February, she provided false information when she appealed the fine. Instead of just paying the fine because the cameras had caught her, she actually appealed the fine and she gave more false information. So she appealed via email and pretended that she was actually acting on behalf of a patient. She falsely claimed that the patient had been issued. She was actually acting on behalf of somebody, let's say Mr. Johnson. Okay, so she actually claimed that Mr. Johnson had been issued the permit and was visiting an end-of-life patient who was the brother. And this nurse later stated that Mr. Johnson was visiting his uncle, who was not his actual uncle. This nurse also stated that Mr. Johnson had been issued with the concessionary parking permit by a black nurse who filled it in because it was left blank for him. So one, you've already obtained a parking permit fraudulently. You are caught. You shamefully have to just pay the fine and that will be the end of it. But you went on to do the extra job of appealing and telling more lies. That's the issue with lying. Once you tell a lie, you may have to tell another lie. And then after that second lie, you may have to tell another lie. So the lies never stop. And that's what worsens your case. And that is the major thing to learn from this story. So she kept lying. She said, she was acting on behalf of a so-and-so person who was visiting their uncle. Initially, she said their brother. Later, she said their uncle who was on end of life. And the form was given to him by a black nurse. Blah, 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 blah. Lying further. Now, obviously, the trust investigated the information provided. Then they realized that there was no end of life patient by the name that she gave. There was nobody like that. And then when they checked the signatures on the permit that she had, they realized that it didn't match any of the signatures of the nurses who are authorized to actually issue this permit. It didn't match any of their signatures. So that means she obtained the parking ticket fraudulently. And when she was initially confronted, what did she do? She denied the fraud, but later on, she admitted to doing this fraudulently. After she admitted, obviously they called her, they had a disciplinary action, and then she was still not telling them exactly how she gained the permits, but then she eventually paid the fine. And then the trust gave her a warning, which was supposed to be on her file for 12 months. Okay, so this is one charge that led to her being struck off. Now, there's another thing that I want you to take notice of. So let me go back to all the charges that were leveled against her. So details of the charge. So they are saying that you, a registered nurse, between 13th December 2021 and 11th February 2022, on more than one occasion, used a trust concessionary parking permit. 2. On February 15, 2022, you provided false information in relation to your conduct at charge. So the fact that she lied again when she was caught regarding the parking is another charge. Then the third one is, on more than one occasion between July 2021 and October 2023, you ordered Zopiclone when additional stock was not required. You took the Zopiclone from the trust stock. Now, your conduct at charges 1 and/or 2 was dishonest in that you knew you were not authorized or permitted to use a trust concessionary parking permit. Your conduct at charges 1 and/or 2 was dishonest in that you intended to financially benefit by avoiding your parking fees to the trust. Your conduct at charge 3A and 3B was dishonest in that you intended to take Zopiclone from the trust stock for your own personal use. And in light of the above, your fitness to practice is impaired by reason of your misconduct. So aside the parking permit issue, there were times where she was also the pharmacist of the trust realized that it looks like more Zopiclone is being ordered than is really being used. So when they did the investigation, they realized that on certain occasions, or more than one occasion, she actually ordered for Zopiclone as if she was going to administer or it was needed by a patient. However, she was pocketing the Zopiclone. For those of you who don't know Zopiclone, it's sort of like a sleeping pill. She was pocketing it. And this is what I don't understand. She would have actually called her GP if she was actually having sleep issues. Call the GP and let the GP know that she's struggling to sleep, blah, blah, is affecting her work and all of that. And they could have actually put her on something. I don't know why she has to steal it. And this looks like, oh, it's just Zopiclone. It's not a CD. It's not like a control drug, but Zopiclone is quite, in fact, even paracetamol can get you in trouble when you steal it. And some of these drugs, you can easily get them from your GP. So why the stress? Why acquire it fraudulently? Now, these things seem like they are not real big issues. But the issue with NMC is that they are saying that you are a nurse in charge of patients or the lives of people. And in that regard, the public should be able to trust you. You should not be a dishonest person. So for this lady, because she was dishonest on several occasions, and when you read this file, at a point they said that it looks like she has deep-rooted attitudinal issues, right? Because it looks like she didn't have insight on what she has really done. She didn't speak of an issue it was, and she does have deep dishonest issues. So therefore, they don't think the public will have trust in such a person taking care of people. And you know how big the UK NMC is on all of this. So because of that, she's being struck off. Now, let me read this part of the document. It says, finally, in looking at the striking of order, the panel took note of the following paragraphs. Do the regulatory concerns about the nurse or midwife raise fundamental questions about their professionalism? Can public confidence in nurses and midwives be maintained if this nurse or midwife is not removed from the register? Is striking off the only sanction which will be sufficient to protect patients, members of the public, or maintain professional standards? Then they're saying the nurse's actions were significant departures from standards expected as a registered nurse or expected of a registered nurse and are fundamentally incompatible with her remaining on the register. So they are saying that the public should have trust in the people that take care of their family members. They should have trust on the people that are on the nurses and midwifery register. But can the public still have trust if such a person is still working as a nurse? They don't think so. And because of that, they are striking her off. With regards to the issue of the Zopiclone, they also say that this nurse's action also created a potential risk of harm in reducing available trust stock to patients who may have required the Zopiclone medication. All colleagues who needed to administer Zopiclone and had it not been available due to missing stock. So because that you were taking it and pocketing it and taking it home and abusing it because you have probably not been prescribed this, because Zopiclone is not an over-the-counter medication, right? You now, whenever patients actually needed a Zopiclone, it could be that there were no Zopiclone because you had taken the ones that was left to your house. And now it was a potential risk of harm to the patients because they didn't get their prescribed medication because you stole it. You took it home. The panel, however, considered that there's limited information regarding the likelihood of harm that the zopiclone not being available for patients or colleagues may have caused. So they know that they don't have the proper information as to what harm was exactly caused by this zopiclone theft. Okay, and now she struck off. Now, what do we learn from this? What are your key takeaways? So for me, the first thing I'll say is that integrity is non-negotiable. You have to try to be honest. Try to be honest, regardless of how embarrassing it may be. Be honest. It's not negotiable. It's better to be embarrassed temporarily and then you keep your license for the rest of your life than to lie and tell another lie to cover up that lie and tell another lie to cover up that lie, and you eventually caught. And then now you're struck off because they'll say you have fundamental issues with integrity and you cannot be trusted by the public. You have to be accountable. Guys, some of these things, they may seem like, oh, it's minor. You're just taking paracetamol. You're just taking this. We need to be careful, myself included. As for the issue with packing, they better scrap it off. They better say all nurses and health professionals should pack free, because this thing, guys, what do you think about this nurses issue? Do you think the striking of order was a bit too harsh? Do you think probably she should have been suspended? Or do you think that she deserves it? And what else have you learned from the story? NMC won't kill us. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Bye.